Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Lunch and Learns. I'm so sorry for the long hiatus. I know that the man, the myth, the legend, Dice Ranger was quite a while ago. Things have been a little crazy around here, but really happy to have been able to spend some time this week with Dr. Patti Anderson of FDACS DPI. We got to tour the herbarium, and oh, I wanted to say something about Giving Tuesday. So we just had Giving Tuesday this week, and everybody was really fantastic. We reached our $3,000 goal on Facebook, and I haven't tallied our tally from like our database where we receive the donations directly, but it looks really good so far. So thank you everybody so much for all of your generosity. Oh, I have a little tech issue. I have to fix. The bit rate is too low. Okay, that should look a little bit better. Okay, sorry guys. I had to stream using a bad internet connection a while ago, so. All right, Patti, so thank you so much for having me and for playing with me in the courtyard.
Thank you so much for the visit. I really enjoyed it, and I hope people will be interested in learning more about our herbarium and how we maintain our collection of plants of Florida.
Yes, and thank you for taking your lunch break to be here for us on the Q&A. And so we'll be here. Please type your questions in the chat. The video is only about 12 minutes long. We'll come back right before the song, and please enjoy.
Welcome to the DPI Herbarium. A lot of people have never been to a herbarium. We like to explain that it's like a library of dried plants. But in fact, most people have been to a lot more libraries looking at books than looking at dried plants. And many people are surprised that the first herbaria were actually books with dried plants. Early on, botany was not considered a separate science. It was part of medicine and pharmacy. People were only interested in identifying plants that could be useful to people, that could be helpful for curing diseases or to eat. So people studied plants, and they had mainly drawings, illustrations to help them identify the plants. And in the early days, they were fairly abstract in a way. You could see the parts of the plant, but if you've ever looked at a wildflower guide and tried to figure out a species, you can appreciate the challenge it is to identify plants from a drawing. Later on, say in the 1500s, there was an Italian botanist who had the great idea of using live plant material in his botany classes. And this was very popular with people because they could actually see the plants. But the problem was that in Italy, it's a temperate climate, so they have winter and plants die. And amazingly, he had this innovative idea of drying plants and pressing them. And they stored the plants in books that were bound so that they could see the plants off season. And it was a great innovation. A problem came about, though, because if you were trying to organize your plants in groups, if the book is bound with your plants, it's hard to add new ones in the right sequence. So another great technological revolution was the idea to have plants dried and mounted on individual sheets of paper. So here's an example of a plant from our herbarium. You can see it holds some of the color, and it's very easy to see the characteristics of the plant. And if we find a plant in the same family or genus, we can put them together. The herbarium is organized by plant groups. We have conifers together, ferns together, flowering plants together, and then we arrange it by family, genus, and species. So we put them in this folder, and this is the folder that holds all our kudzu specimens. Our focus here is on plants of Florida, of course, invasive species that come in from other places, our native plants, and then weeds that we're likely to get from other parts of the world. Now, this is a great way to store plants, but the other aspect of it is that once you have the plants dried and on sheets, you can have them from any part of the world, any season, and that led to botany becoming a systematic science on its own. Linnaeus was able to do comparative botany, seeing plants from around the world, because they were dried specimens. So all of our understanding of classification from the structures of plants came to us in large measure because of this great idea of pressing and drying plants. We have DNA now, but for many centuries, looking at plants was how we figured out their relationships. Some people are curious about how many herbaria there are. There are thousands, and they range in size from the largest. The very large ones have between 7 and 9 million specimens in their collections, to small ones that might have 300 or 400 that focus on, say, a local park. They might have a herbarium where they keep track of the plants that grow there. The largest herbarium is in Paris. It has about 9 million specimens. Then New York Botanic Garden has over 7, approaching 8 million. Then there's the Kew Garden Herbarium. And then St. Pete has the 4th largest, but that's the St. Petersburg in Russia, not our Florida St. Pete. Missouri Botanical Garden also has a large herbarium in this country. Several herbaria are related to botanical gardens, and that came in part because of the educational focus. Because if you can have living plants, that's best, and the botanical gardens could bring collections from around the world in areas where the temperature and climate were similar. So they would have living collections, but they could also have the botanical scientists who work in the herbarium. So I think you might like to see a little bit more about how we prepare the specimens so that we can have our collection. Right now we have over 15,000 in the DPI collection, but we always add more, and we can stop for a moment and see how they're added.
All right, my name is Alex Delapez, and I'm a botanist here at the DPI Herbarium. And so when we get a live plant, basically what we want to do here is press it and dry it. And so the way we do that is with the plant press. And so basically what a plant press consists of are these 2 straps. And the straps are to get pressure on the plant to really flatten it and get it completely pressed. So we got these 2 wooden things on both sides, and then we have cardboard corrugate here and these blotter papers. And basically it goes wooden base, corrugated cardboard, a blotter paper, and then next you want to put the plant in. So you want to put this either in newspaper or really thin paper, kind of like this, and kind of just orient the specimen how you want it to be when it's dried. And so a few things you want to look out for here are to get both leaf surfaces showing, so that when it's dried you can see both leaf surfaces. So you want to get the back side and the front side both showing, kind of spread it out, and then basically it gets flattened, another corrugate, and if you have more you keep stacking, same order. If not, you put the wood on top, straps go back on, you want to get these straps really as tight as possible to get the maximum pressure to get it as flat as possible. And usually what we'll do is we'll stand on it to really get it flat and then pull these straps. And then that's really as tight as you can get it. And next it'll be put into the plant dryer, which is usually about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and usually just about 24 to 48 hours when the plant's dried, pressed, and ready to get mounted. So then, what we have here is a completely pressed, dried specimen, and now it's ready to get mounted. And this is how you preserve a specimen for the long time. So accompanying that specimen is a label, and on this label you have the name, where it was collected, by who, when, and that's really the important information you need. So what we do is we glue it to this corner here, bottom right corner. It gets glued on. And next we basically just find a way to get the specimen on. So here once again you can see you have the bottom side and the top side of the leaf. That's pretty important. And we'll glue that on. This will get pressed on, and there you have a final specimen.
The materials we use are all acid free, so they'll last forever. It's like archival paper and archival glue, so everything lasts as long as a herbarium lasts. There's some specimens that are 500 years old in European herbaria. Our oldest one is from 1939, and it's in good shape. So it's important to use the right materials when you're doing the pressing. And so we're glad to have your visit to the DPI Herbarium. If you have plant samples that you need identified, we're happy to help you with that. And if you want to know more about the details of pressing plants and preserving them, you can always ask that kind of question.
Patti and Alex were also kind enough to show us the plant dryer, which is sort of like a modified dehydrator with a handle. It's like a big cabinet. Patti's opening it, and it's just got a bunch of shelves with holes in them, like little wire racks, and then a heater down at the bottom that doesn't go very hot. That's all.
We also have a seed collection of about 1,400 vials of seeds from fruits that have been collected. You know, in Florida, we're very concerned about fruit flies, and sometimes fruits are sent to us that are unusual. We don't know them, and when we open them up, we can see the seeds and sometimes compare them to seeds that we have in our collection. Sometimes seeds are fairly distinctive. Sometimes they have ridges or colorations that make them different. Sometimes we get acorns from other parts of the country, and they have unique caps that we can sometimes use for identification.
Okay, and so can people submit samples to this herbarium?
Yes.
Okay, why would they submit it here versus USF?
It's a matter of convenience. If they'd like to any herbarium is a good place to keep it. So if they're unsure of the identification and they have some concern about what the plant might be, if it's causing them problems, or they want to plant more of it, or know if it's a good idea to plant more of it, then they might send it to us.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. So I figured maybe we'd handle some questions before we went to the singing. So we had a question about what kind of glue you're using from Mary Chrisman.
So the glue is jade glue, Jade. There's several kinds that you can use, but the important thing is that they be non-acidic, archival quality glues, things that a library would use, or any museum preserving specimens.
So if you're pressing specimens for your own personal herbarium, then you should use this special kind of glue, right? Rather than just Elmer's or something.
Right, if you want them to last. If you're just doing a temporary project for your own entertainment, to show your friends something you've collected, you could be more casual about it.
And
But,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
but if you want it to last, that's important.
And so if people are sending you samples to your herbarium or to other herbariums, they don't glue it, right? They just send you the sample with the information that you requested, and so that you can make the little labels and you can glue it. They don't have to glue
Right.
it.
It's much better if we can process it ourselves, because we want to be sure it's totally dried. So even if it looks dry when it arrives, we dry it again. And we also put it in a freezer for about a month to make sure that any bugs or eggs that could be on it have been killed and are dead before we add it to our collection.
And Rory asks, are the specimens systematically reviewed for condition, accuracy, or other reasons? Like, I guess, existing specimens in the collection?
Well, we become aware of changes. So perhaps someone publishes a review of a family or a genus, or there's new information about a species. We would take that information and decide if we need to make changes to the names we have on the label. And then we make a small label. It's called a new determination. And it would have the new name and the date and the name of the person who made that decision. And that way, if you're looking back historically, you can see the changes that have occurred in the name. And you might have more or less confidence in some specialists. So if someone is the world's expert in a family, you'd give heavy weight to any changes they made.
Rory also asks, are any plant samples legally problematic to keep?
If you're collecting endangered plants or noxious weeds, you need a permit to move those plants. And so if you're giving it to a herbarium, they'll probably ask you, or they should ask you, to see the permit or ask for the permit number to be included on the label.
So the ethically problematic part or legally problematic part would be, did you not have a permit to collect the plant? Not necessarily keeping. That's evidence that you did not collect it legally. But okay, what if someone gives you a pressed specimen of an endangered plant?
Well, we assume either they knew it was endangered and they got the permit, so we would ask, well, we're the people who give the permit, so we would know that they have the permit. We could look it up. If someone from outside the state had an endangered plant, we would ask for their permit. If it was a noxious weed, we would also expect the permit. But if they unknowingly collected something, if they sent it to us to identify, not a gift to our herbarium, we know that sometimes people are just unaware of what they have. So there's, if they're not attempting to spread the plant, we would try to educate them about the identity of the species and why it shouldn't be spread or shouldn't be collected. So we regulate nurseries more closely so that things that they shouldn't be selling. And we appreciate that individuals might not know all the rules or might not be able to identify all the plant species themselves. So we try to lead you to the correct path, but we don't really put you in botany jail if you're an individual who makes a mistake.
Right. Okay, and Mary wants to just confirm, Mary Kristen wants to confirm that you're just using the glue to glue the plant down to the paper, so it's flat.
Yes. That's what we do.
That's the point. Okay. Eugene Kelly, our policy and legislation chair, asks, do some species have a naturally shorter shelf life in herbaria?
No, the only problem is that some plants are very fleshy and full of water. If you think about a cactus plant, that poses difficulties in drying. And so our enemy is mold, mildew, and insects. So if that cactus is not completely dry, then it could mold and not survive. So if the plants are completely dry and completely insect-free, then they should last indefinitely, hundreds of years.
Okay, so that's the end of our viewer questions. So we're going to disappear, but you'll still be able to hear us. And I just like to show, Patti, can you talk about Cernak and how we can find your specimens, your herbarium stuff on the internet?
Okay. We have had a project of taking photographs of the specimens, and they're online as part of a consortium of southeastern herbaria. The group is called Cernak, SERNEC. And you can, if you're familiar with the plant atlas, you can reach it through the atlas, or you can just search for Cernak. It gives you a chance to search collections, and you can choose the Florida Department of Agriculture and see all our specimens, or you can search for a particular genus or species and see collections from throughout the Southeast. From, I'm not sure how many herbaria are included, but over 20. So you would have a good chance of finding a specimen of the species you're interested in.
So I have this search pulled up for FDACS on Cernak, and so I'm just listing display, right? So you can see, just as if you're searching the USF Atlas, here's like images, and so it pops up a new window, and you can see Dicerandra crispanii here, or Dicerandra densiflora. I guess I search for all Dicerandras by F.W. Mead. And then here's the atlas. So now I have the atlas pulled up, Patti, and I have Dicerandra crispanii, Lake Wells balm, or Chrisman's mint, named after Chrisman. What's his first name? He's really cool.
Is it Mark or I can't remember. Sorry.
Anyways, he's recently deceased. Anyways, he's did such good work for the conservation of especially Lake Wellsbridge endemics. Anyway, so if you see this map here, your data are included on the map. So if someone sent you a new specimen in a new county, that will show up in the USF county map.
That's right.
Right, okay, but they cannot see your herbarium specimen image on the USF Plant Atlas.
Not necessarily. We do send them some of our specimens when we have extra material. So there are some of our plants. If you look at kudzu, you might see a DPI specimen because we have an interest in invasive species, and we've sent some of those to the atlas. So, but very few of our specimens are on the atlas website, and almost all of our specimens are on the Cernak website.
Okay, so you can reach Cernak. Say you're like, okay, here I am. I really want to get into Dicerandra crispanii. I want to see all of these. So you look at all of these that are here in the USF Atlas, and you're like, okay, I want to see what they've done with FDACS. So you would come down here below the map. Under species links, it starts with Biota of North America, EdMaps, Flora of North America, iNaturalist, and you go down to consortia links and go to Cernak. Then it will pop up all Dicerandra crispanii in all the herbaria, and you can scroll down, and FDACS does not have any Dicerandra crispanii listed here. Florida Department, yeah, nope. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to us and see if anybody has any questions that came up. Oh, Eugene Kelly says it's Steve Chrisman. Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, so last question before we move on to our musical interlude. Um, Jean asks, do you have any manchineel mounted? And if so, are they hands off?
I don't think we do, but we do have poison ivy. And what we do is we use gloves when we're handling the specimens before they're mounted, but after the drying and freezing process, the oils are essentially inactivated. So we're not too worried about those, but I'd rather not get that close to a manchineel myself.
Great. Okay, so with no further questions, you know, you can always send questions to me and I can get with Patti, or you can send them directly to Patti, Patti.Anderson@fdacs.gov, right?
Right?
Right. And without further ado, so I was nervous, so I did not focus on either Dr. Patti or myself when we were playing, so we're a little blurry, but the lyrics are there, and if you're familiar with Canned Heat, you can probably, you know, catch right on. All right, don't judge us too harshly. Have fun.
I'm going to the plant sale, baby, don't you wanna go? I'm going to the plant sale, baby, don't you wanna go? I'm going to some place where I've never been before. I'm going where the plants are so fine. I'm going where the plants are so fine. Just give them little love and they'll bloom all the time. I'm gonna leave this city, got to get away. I'm gonna leave this city, got to get away. All these plastic plants, and you know I sure can't stay. Now, baby, pack your plant card, you know we gotta leave today. Just exactly where we're going, I cannot say. But we'll be together any which way. And we'll find brand new plants there, baby, come what may. No use of you running or screaming and crying, 'cause you've got a garden long as I've got mine. Yes. Nailed it.
I hope that wasn't too painful for everyone. Maybe don't look for any more collaboration in the future. I'm not sure. I do love playing with Patti, though.
I had a great time and I thought Valerie was terrific, and I would be delighted if we ever had a chance, I get another chance to play. So I'm ready.
Right. Does anybody have any song suggestions to remake for flute and ukulele? I don't know. I like Moondance. Can we rework the Moondance lyrics? Bum, bum,
We can rework anything.
bum, bum, bum. Da, da. Okay, all right, I'm done. Have fun at your plant sales this weekend, everyone. Don't forget to go to your chapter's plant sales and all your chapter's meetings and volunteer with them.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.